Welcome back to the class, everyone. Galactic Legend Leia's second batch of requirements just dropped, this time with only the same 5, and we even got some of them right. So this was pretty much expected, as it already has been several weeks since the original requirements had dropped, being Captain Rex, Nisa, Wicket, Lando, as well as Admiral Akbar. And as of just now, we got the next 5 coming in hot. And this isn't like really meant to be a brag post, but we didn't get all 5 in the right. I think we technically only got like maybe 3.5 is probably a safe estimate. But kind of cool to see where they're going right now as far as the requirements go, because these seem to be very much in line with Jabba's, which makes me think a little bit we're not going to have that heavy of requirements in the long term. Jabba himself only had one Relic 8 character, being Han Solo, and right now we're pretty much directly on track for that, because R2-D2, who does have a very close affiliation with Leia, most of us already have R7 for JML anyways, so it does kind of lean into that quite nicely. Not only is he a fairly decent character in a lot of teams, I am currently running with a suspicion, I might just be like dead wrong here, but I think that he's going to end up being in one of the best versions of Leia, just because of the connection they have. And right now, he's not really utilized in a lot of other teams. One of CG's main focuses right now has been trying to make older, less relevant characters more relevant by bringing newer characters in. We saw this with Stormtrooper Han and Sana, or OG Finn with Zori. And maybe R2 really gets to come into the meta more than just a fill-in with Leia herself. Scout Trooper, we already kind of knew about this. This happened yesterday. Relic 7 is probably expected to. This seems to be where they're going to be getting a lot of their money from with this Galactic Legend. We know that CG always has to have some way to be able to make profit off of this, and that seems to be the main way they're doing it this time. It's probably the defining difference right now between Leia and Jabba, is all of the current requirements that we're getting that are new marquee characters are not being required at Relic 5 like Boosh, Chrysanthemum, and Lando were. Rather, they're coming in at a slightly more expensive relic rate of R7. Both Scout Trooper, or all 3 Scout Trooper, Nisa as well as Rex, got hit with that pricing. And I'm a little curious as to what they're going to do right now in regards to Drogon. For those who aren't aware, Drogon was a character that was announced when Leia was announced. He's kind of a nameless, unique CG homebrew character, which we kind of have thoughts about that, but it's not really what this video is about. But he's probably going to be required, but that hasn't been confirmed. And I'm starting to think with the way things are going that he's not going to end up being confirmed, because Cat and Maul are both crucial to their respective Galactic Legend teams, but they're not requirements to be able to get them. So I don't know if we're going to eventually see Drogon in the 3rd batch. It would make sense that we would, but at the same time, maybe he's not, and maybe we are going to start to see some of these other characters. So this was the first batch that we had in here, and then my guess for the second batch was going to be Chief Chirpa, Rolo, as well as Stormtrooper Han and Saw Gerrera. They, however, did go the different route, and they put in our good friend Captain Han, which I guess this is actually a lot more player friendly, because Captain Han was already required at Relic 3 when going after Jedi Knight Luke. So for example, for me specifically, that's already a character that I already had to sink Kairos and a few Relic levels into. I kind of thought it was going to be Stormtrooper Han, just because he's currently the most underutilized due to not being required really for anything other than CLS way back in the day. So it looks like they're going with Captain Han over Stormtrooper Han. Maybe he comes in the 3rd set. I guess JML had both Chewbacca's in there, so that's not entirely out of the question. But along with that, we did get Chirpa right. And then the last one, and we did have R2 on our list. That being said, he wasn't really very high on the list. He was and we kind of predicted him being in the 3rd grouping, but I mean, this one's kind of the same way. So Chirpa was nice to see. That being said, I really don't think this last list is going to be right, and we're going to actually take the time to change this now. So when we did our last prediction video, one of the characters that a lot of people made really great points about was the fact that Iden Versio right now is still a fairly newer character, only recently accelerated. And on top of that, she still requires Kairos, and she's not really required for anything other than like a really odd mission on TB. So to put her in here as another Relic 7 for Leia to get, I think is pretty likely. Not to mention, it's typical for most Galactic Legends to have characters of the other alignment on the list. Although I think they've done as low as 1 with examples like Rey and SLKR. It wouldn't be terribly shocking if we had 2 here. I know there was a lot more overlap with JMK and Lord Vader. So she was probably, we're going to put her in the requirement. I don't know what to think about Farm Boy Luke right now. And you guys can tell me in the comment section where you think he's going to ultimately end up. Because my same type of mentality for Farm Boy Luke was that he was going to be kind of in the same position as Stormtrooper Han. That Stormtrooper Han, again, just not a character that a lot of people have. Yes, you can farm him up and get him going for the Sana team, but he's not required really for anything else. And he also has obviously a very close connection to Leia, such as Farm Boy Luke. But that just doesn't, I don't know if they're going to go for that. So this is, right now, to me, is not a guarantee. I do think with them going with Rolo means that we're probably not getting Princess Leia on the list, especially because she's already required at R3 for another Galactic Legend, although I guess that's kind of pointless considering they put Captain Han in here and he was the exact same criteria. So maybe not there. R2 obviously was already taken in this one, so we'll have to start to look at maybe another requirement. Really, I think these 3, Drogon, and then I still think for the very last piece that we're going to get is going to be the Raven's Claw as a requirement. We always end up having to ship in each one of the Galactic Legend requirements. And on top of that, this is just one that pretty much nobody has farmed, and he's kind of useless in the entirety of the game right now. Unless you're doing some weird split between the 2 Rebel counters, there's really not a lot that you're going to end up seeing with this overall. But I mean, it's out there right now. It's not accelerated because ships don't get accelerated. Doesn't really have a permanent home. Isn't needed for anything else. So it's really perfectly slotted to end up kind of making them a lot of money by forcing people to go after it. And I don't know what they're going to do for the final one, because right now we just got a new marquee character, Scout Trooper, that we were not currently expecting. I don't think we'll get any more new characters or ships, just because this is already setting a precedent for being one of the most expensive Galactic Legends with release characters, because Jabba himself only had 3 new marquees that were also right up to the release date, whereas Lord Vader did have 4, but they were much farther away from when it came out, being Bad Batch. They were not only farmable through shipments, but also through the nodes for quite some time, making it a little bit easier to go after him. Again, Jabba had the 3, and now, right now, assuming Drogon, and we don't know this, but assuming Drogon is another marquee character, we're going to be looking at 4 total for this whole thing, which is already expensive, so I don't know if we're going to be getting, like, another ship that could help resemble Leia or help the Rebel fleets out, like Red 5 or whatever, Tentative 5 or whatever the name of the ship that Leia goes on in Episode 4. But all that being said, I am pretty happy with this batch. Chirpa is very likely going to be good in the new upcoming Endor raid. Not only is he an Ewok and in the battle, but he's also their only real leader. Sorry, Tebow. Rolo and Captain Han were kind of already at Relic 3, and R2-D2. Not only is he already at Relic 7 for his respective Galactic Legend Jedi Master Luke, but he is a character that does kind of benefit from just when you keep throwing stats at him, like max protection, offense, max health that he's getting from all his allies, and then redistributing it out. That is nice to have more on him. Again, he is very much still in that filler spot rather than ideal for the squad, but I would love to see him be in the best Galactic Legend Leia squad. So that is going to be it for today, guys. Thank you for watching, and as always, stay awesome.